Hi, Assalamualaikum. I am Muhammad Firdaus bin Muhammad Kamal and I will be the speaker of this presentation. I hope after this presentation you could answer the question given well and correctly. Our team consists of 4 people. They are Ahmad Ukasha, Muhammad Aidi and Muhammad Faris. The presentation will consist of 2 parts. One is multiplexing and second is pulse modulation. The multiplexing. Multiplexing is designed to send analog signal or digital streams through one common transistor line. For example, this figure shows that numerous data stream can be combined and sent across a single media. The gear used for multiplexing is known as a multiplexer, and the process of mixing the data stream is known as multiplexing. A device called a multiplexer is used to multiplex data by combining many input line into a single output line. Following many to one, multiplexing use an input line and one output line. There are 3 types of multiplexing. The first one is FDM, frequency division multiplexing. This technique, by which of the bandwidth available communication medium is divided into a series of non-overlapping frequency bands. The second one is WDM, wavelength division multiplexing. This technique is a fiber optic transmission that use multiple light wavelength to send data over the same medium. And the last one is a TDM, time division multiplexing. This technique is a voice and video communication technique that interleave several low speed signal into one high speed transmission channel. There are several advantages of multiplexing. The first one is more than one signal can be sent over single medium or link only. The second one is effective use of the bandwidth of medium. There are several applications of multiplexing in our daily life. For example, it can be analog broadcasting, digital broadcasting, telephony, video processing, and telegraphy. We go through for the second part, that is a pulse modulation. So, in our world now, information signal must be changed to digital form so that it can be transmitted through this network. So, there is several techniques requiring full coding of the original signal used. There is a pulse code modulation, PCM, differential PCM, DPCM, additive differential PCM, ADPCM, data modulation, DM, and the last is adaptive delta modulation, ADM. There are several techniques that require full encoding of the original signal used. The first one is pulse code modulation, PCM, differential PCM, DPCM, data modulation, DM, adaptive differential PCM, ADPCM, and adaptive data modulation, ADM. So the next we go through for PAM, pulse amplitude modulation. A type of single modulation known as a pulse amplitude modulation, PAM, involves encoding the message data in the amplitude of a series of signal pulse. There is several advantage and disadvantage. The advantage is demodulation and modulation is so simple. Simplified transmitter and receiver circuit. And for the disadvantage is a lot of bandwidth is needed and more sensitive to sound.
So we go through to PPM, pulse position modulation. With PPM, the form and the amplitude of the pulse signal remain same. and only each pulse in the carrier pulse sequence changes with time. You can see the example in a figure. So the advantage is separating signal from noise is a simple. Highest power effectiveness in a comparison to other pulse modulation. For disadvantage, the first one is a broader bandwidth than PAM. And if we want to use a PPN, will be complex system is necessary. Next is a PCM, passcode modulation. Passcode modulation PCM is a method used to digitally represent sample analog signal. For advantage, PCM more noise resistant and increase transmitter effectiveness. And for the advantage, PCM is more bandwidth compared to analog system. And the second one is a complex. PCM is a complex one. For the last part is a Nakish theorem. So the Nakish sample theorem state that a band-limited continuous time signal can be sampled and perfectly reconstructed from its sample if the waveform is sampled over twice as fast as it is the highest frequency component. You guys can see the figure in the slide for the example of Nakish theorem.